photographer and the fan friends, and welcome to today's episode where we are going to have a lot of fun. Today's episode is brought to you by the word un. What do I mean by the word un? Well, let me show you here. Today we're going to do some sealing. Then we're going to do some rubberized coating. Then we're going to do a little bit of adhesion. And then we're going to do a little bit of protection, some measuring to make sure that it's all fitting. And then we're going to get on right now to the construction. Thanks for stopping by. Let's get going. So for our first we are going to do some sealing. And what we're doing is we're using this clear sealant here. We're going to go around the edges of our wheel wells just so that no water will get in or out, depending upon which way you're in the trailer. You know what I mean. So we're going to do a little bit of sealing here. Just real easy. Put a bead down here. Well, let's just try to keep it nice and pretty. It's so clear it won't even know it's there. Okay, that was bad. I know. We'll do just a little dab of cleanup here. Just run it down that side. That'll work there. So that's one side. Turn it around. And we'll do this other side, and then we'll do the inside, and then we'll go to the next un. Well, that does it for the sealing of our two wheel wells. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do a little bit of undercoating. And the reason we're going to do undercoating is not for corrosion purposes necessarily here where I live, but what it's for is this is aluminum. And for all the rocks and stuff that are going to be kicking up, I want to give it just a little bit of a padding just to protect the aluminum from the kick up of rocks and whatnot. Now this undercoating stuff is kind of stinky and I don't want to get it sprayed all over everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and take this project outside. Whoa, is that ever smelly? Glad I didn't spray that in here in the shop and get that black rubberized stuff all over everything else. Hey, just wanted to let you know, I'm sure you saw me wearing this COVID mask. Little tip from me, you don't need to throw those out now that COVID's semi-over. I think you can go ahead and just use them as air masks when you spray stuff. I think with all that done, I think we're done with the aluminum protection. And we're going to now move on to the, is it installation? Next part of our video is the fitting. So we have our wheel well, we have a hole for it to fit in. Now let's see if it'll fit. Oh yeah, that slides down there real nice. We have a little bit of play between the floor here and the edge here, and we want that. Because the next thing we need to do is do what we're calling Because the next thing we need to do is put a barrier between our aluminum and our steel. Apparently, if you have aluminum and steel, it forms something like, oh, I don't know, we'll call it electrolysis, where, okay, it's not electrolysis, it's not going to be pulling hair. Anyway. Before we can install these Wheelwells, we need to do a couple of things. One, we need to remove our floor right here, or at least loosen it up so we can slide our lip right here. This lip here goes underneath this wood. And then when it goes underneath that wood, our aluminum is going to come in contact with the steel. And we can't have the aluminum and the steel touching. Even though the steel has been painted, over time it might wear together, and then you get what's called electrolysis. No, it's not electrolysis. It's galvanic corrosion. You don't want any type of corrosion because, well, galvanic corrosion, not electrolysis. Galvanic corrosion is when the two dissimilar metals rub together and then the aluminum actually starts to corrode, and you don't want corrosion because, well, it's bad. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to take our floorboards up so that we can put some type of protection between the steel and our aluminum wheel wells. So you may be asking, why am I seeing the axle again? Well, because of some of that electrolysis, because of some of that corrosion protection, we're needing to go ahead and put in a kind of a barrier between our aluminum and our steel. And I thought it would just be easier just to remove the floorboards, put the protection in there, and then we can slide the wheel wells back and forth a little bit if needed once we get the walls put up. So yes, another step backwards, but it's easier this way for our retrofit project, right? Right. Okay, so what I have some type of a plastic vinyl material here. It's smooth on one side, it has ribs on the other. I'm going to put the rib side down against the steel, the painted steel. That way if any moisture gets under there, it'll just have an airspace so it can dry. And then the smooth side will be against the aluminum. So we're just going to slide this piece under there. And we'll slide this piece under here. And once we put the floorboards back on and tighten it, these will stay in place. Just like that. And now we need to put a piece across the top here. Now on our lip here, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of spray adhesive to hold this in place on the aluminum. But I'm going to spray it where it won't get everywhere. I'm going to spray it in the garbage. Now on this strip, I went ahead and put some spray adhesive on it just to hold it in place. We'll lay it so that the rib side is right now facing up, but in a minute it'll be touching the steel. Is all this really necessary? Probably not. Well, for the aluminum and the steel, yes. All right, let's put this wheel well where it's supposed to be. So I think we're ready to go ahead and lower our wheel well. Oh yeah, that's a very, very nice fit right. So what'll happen is when I put the wood floor back on, and I'll drill the holes through this aluminum, and that will hold this part of the fender in place. But I'm not, and also by leaving it loose like this, I can go ahead and put our wall on, and then I'll be able to push the fender, or then I'll be able to push the wheel well over to the wall, and so it'll be nice and tight. Let's get to that other wheel well. Okay, we're going to do the same process on this side. Again, we slide our protective member underneath our wood floor. And we'll slide it down here. Then we'll use a little spray adhesive. Put that on our lip. And then hope it all fits. And that, my friends, is how we do it here at Fur and the Fan. Now all we need to do is put our walls back on, slide these over to the walls, and then put our floor back on. Had a few more uns. I had to do a charging of our phone camera, and I had to do a little bit of feeding for myself. And now we're going to do a little bit of painting. And as you can see here, our wall is actually just upside down. Right now is the perfect opportunity to paint this part of the wood here. This part of our trailer is where the frame actually sits inside of this groove, and we will not see it again after this. So we're going to go ahead and paint it. And then I think we're going to do one more thing, I've decided, since we have it open and accessible. But first of all, we're going to do some painting. So I have this beautiful gray Kills primer paint, and we'll just add a nice thick, well, we'll add a couple of thin coats, which will equal up to a thicker coat. And that way it'll just kind of seal the wood. If you'll remember right, in the existing plans, or the previous plans in the magazine, they actually painted the entire frame before they put the aluminum walls onto it. So we're going to follow that same suit, and we're going to go ahead and paint everything that, well, is going to be exposed to the weather. So give me a few minutes and we'll be right back, and I'll show you my beautiful paint job that I've done here. There, we have our first corner done. I think we'll let that dry and we'll do 2 coats, maybe 3. And as hot as it is in the shop today, it'll dry real fast. All right, so I've given them both 2 coats, here, back here, there, and over there. And now we just want to let that dry, and then we're going to do something else to it before we turn them upside down. I'm going to let you wait until the next segment to see what that is. So keep on watching. All right, for the last segment of this video, we have one more un, and that is to do a little bit of protection on our lower underside skirting. That was a long one. So what I thought we would do, since we have a little bit of aluminum left over, I'm going to go ahead and add a piece of aluminum to the lower part of our wall. And this obviously will be on the inside underneath the trailer. But I want to go ahead and protect this wood here. So we're going to just make a piece here that will form to the shape. I think it'll give it just a little bit more protection. Okay, so what we've done is we've lined up our aluminum here with the bottom of our lip and the edge here, and now we're just going to mark on the back side here the arc. And there we have our piece. We have our piece all now formed, fitted, cut. We drilled some holes here in order to screw it to our glue laminated frame. With our paint backing, I think this will be protected for years and years and years. So let's go ahead and do some pre-drilling. Another word. Going to put in our stainless steel screws. All right, that does it. We have our protective plate here, and we're going to go ahead and I will do the next 3. But that makes a wrap for this video. It's pretty hot in the shop today, so we're going to end it. But I do want to thank you for joining us today. Join us next week when we put this whole thing back together and come back to where we were about 3 weeks ago. I wanted to thank you for stopping in this week and helping us celebrate the word un.